Hi, in this video we'll go over how you can calculate the rate of change, rate of growth between periods in ThoughtSpot. ThoughtSpot makes it really easy for us to calculate such percentages using the growth of keyword. So we just need to use this keyword in the search, need not create any fancy formulas to get to those percentages, which is why any business user and not really an analyst can also use ThoughtSpot to get meaningful insights. So firstly, going over the search syntax of the growth of keyword. So one thing to keep in mind is all other keywords we can really enter in any sequence in ThoughtSpot. Say you enter a field, say you add in sales, you add in city, and then say you write top 4. So it will work. But the growth of keyword, it will always come at the start of any search query. So you need to write growth of keyword first and then everything else will follow. So the search syntax of growth of keyword goes, we write growth of and then we write the measure. So say growth of sales. So this is the measure that we are interested in. And then we write by date field. So in my data set, the date field is date. In your data set, it could be event date, order date, transaction date, visit date, or simply date. And the third piece is period. So say we want to look at data monthly. And then the fourth one is the comparison modifier. So say year over year. So let's type this in ThoughtSpot. So firstly, let's do growth of sales by date, say monthly. So you see at a monthly level, monthly time bucket, you are getting the growth of sales. Now, if you do not enter any comparison modifier, by default it does current period to previous period comparison. So right now it is comparing July 2025 to the previous month, that is June 2025. But say we want each month to compare against the same month last year, that is when we add a comparison modifier and we can call it say year over year. So now you see the percentages have changed and now it's comparing May 2025 to May 2024. So this is how the basic syntax goes. There are a few more features of this that we can use to get accurate results, but all in all, this is 80% of what it is, and the keyword, as I said, like it makes it really easy for anyone to use it. But imagine you want to calculate it at a weekly level. So instead of growth of sales by date monthly, you could also come and write in here say weekly. And by default, as you know, it would be current period versus previous period. So it will compare the rate of growth, rate of change versus the previous week. Now imagine you want to use a different comparison modifier. You don't want to compare it to previous week. That is where a variety of options come in. So we have month over month, we have quarter over quarter, we have year over year. These are the options that we have handy. By default it is current period versus previous period, but say we want to compare week of this year versus week of last year, similar to what we did with month, we will add year over year to the end. Now there are a few important caveats here. The first one is that the current grain of search must be smaller than the modifier to be valid. What this means is if you want to compare year over year, you really need to have search either in quarters or in months or in weeks or in days or in anything. Basically, the grain of search must be smaller than year time bucket. So for example, say assume that the period that you're using is weekly, then the options available to you are month over month, quarter over quarter, year over year. Whereas if what you are doing, if the period is yearly, then you have none of these options available, because at a yearly time bucket you can't really compare month over month or quarter over quarter. And say the example we take is monthly. So in the monthly, the two options that you would have is quarter over quarter and year over year. Year over year, we know it will compare the same month versus last year, but quarter over quarter, what it will do is it will compare the month number against the previous quarter. So now say January 2024 is the first month of the quarter. It will compare this with October 2023, because October 2023 would be the first month of the previous quarter. So yeah, all in all, this is how we use growth of keyword. I know it might have a few nuances and a few tweaks, but feel free to drop any questions you have in the comment section and I'll get back to you. Thanks.